Try not to be so stiff. Hi. My name is Michael, and I am a full-time content creator, but wasn't always one. As a matter of fact, I was forced to become one when the pandemic started. My real day job was that I was and still is, a graphic designer. And I got laid off 3 times, which prompted me to start my own freelance business, which has been going on for about 3 years now. And when I started that business, I also started my Instagram account. When I first started my Instagram account, it was with the goal of trying to market my graphic design skill through social media. Frankly speaking, that never really took off because I feel that there's just way too many very, very good designers that are much, much better than me that's already on the platform. Not to say that it wouldn't have worked. It's just I didn't think it was worth my time to actually invest trying to compete in that space, because the audience that I serve, they were very specific. And so I figured that instead of competing with the other people on Instagram, that I would just focus on my existing clientele, basically make them as happy as possible. So instead, I decided to focus more on the freelance designer aspect of my life, which meant that I was just sharing the things that I was working on and where I was sitting at, and how it felt to be working at home. I know that my desk may look glamorous right now, but it wasn't always the case. If you go to my account and scroll all the way down, you'll see its humble beginnings. It's still there. I keep it there because it's a good reminder. So before I got laid off, I've managed to foster really good relationships with my coworkers. And these are the same people who basically led me to new opportunities. They introduced me to other people who are now my clients, and that led to more work. And I just kept doing that. I just kept moving forward as best as I could because, unlike having a real job or a normal job, I didn't have a paycheck to expect every month or every 2 weeks. Eventually, I managed to fill up my weeks with enough work, so much so that I actually had to hire 2 other designers to work alongside with me. But even though it felt like it was going in the right direction, there's just one thing that kept bothering me. And it goes back to this one question that is commonly asked, I would say. And this is a question I ask myself almost every single day. It's, where do I see myself in 5 years? I'm not really sure how to describe that feeling, but all I know is, for me to think that I would be in the same place, doing the same thing in 5 years, just made me feel very uncomfortable. I just knew that even though my graphic design business was thriving, it's just not what I was looking for. So I kept searching. But the problem was I never really knew what I was searching for. And at this point, I still didn't know what I wanted to be or wanted to do. I wasn't even really passionate about graphic design. It was just one of those skills that I had to pick up. I had to teach myself and learn to make ends meet. The only thing that I knew for certain was that I needed to go forward. I needed to move forward somehow. I needed to progress myself, whether it's through my work, my education, my skills, my efficiency, even just time management, just anything. I knew that I just had to keep moving forward. And so I did, as best as I could. And so while all of this was happening, I started to share more stuff on Instagram that wasn't really graphic design related. It was more behind the scenes. I started to share more of the tools that I was using. And as a matter of fact, I think the first piece of tech that I actually shared on my Instagram account was of a pair of headphones that are very, very cheap, that I found on Amazon. Then the next thing that I shared was, I believe, was a wireless charger that was rather expensive, but I bought myself because I felt that it looked good in the space. And that's what I did. I just said, this is a really nice wireless charger and I think it works well. And so one thing led to another, and I found myself really just decorating my little corner in this very small office, at home. And it's one of those things that felt really good because when I used to work in a normal corporate setting, a cubicle isn't exactly the most inspiring space. And so I wanted my own little corner to feel creative, to feel inspiring, so that every time I walk in the office, I would actually want to sit down and get some work done. Eventually, that led to me sharing photos that I actually took and making little tutorials. Now, mind you, at this point, the most accessible things that I could actually take photos of were stuff on my desk. Basically stuff that's right in front of me. So that includes my desk, my computer, my charger, headphones, whatever it is. One of the great things that came out of this is that I started to connect more with a lot of other creatives that I found online. I was trying really hard to just connect with them, interact with them, because I was kind of hoping that, part of their skill or maybe even charisma would rub off on me, and, I would start to have a bigger following. If there's any real intention with my Instagram account, it's for me to actually connect with other people, with other creatives specifically. Because working from home, if you've been doing it for a while, it can actually feel really lonely. It feels weird. I think I tried just about every technique that I could think of on Instagram, even spamming people. And, some of them worked just for a little bit, but the problem was, ultimately, it felt very unfulfilling. And I realized that I never really wanted a following. I never really wanted a big audience. I just really wanted that connection. And so I refocused again and started to share more of my life as a freelance designer, taking pictures of the things that I like, sharing the struggles that I was experiencing. Sometimes when I'm just down and I don't feel like doing anything, I would actually share that. Somehow along the way, I started to get new clients through the platform. This is the time when a lot of these brands and companies decided to work with social media personalities. And at this point, I wouldn't really consider myself a personality. I was just a regular guy. I still am a regular guy. Maybe that's what they like. Maybe they like the fact that I was really trying to connect with, the people who were following me. So I think the first job that I got through Instagram was of a company that sold charging cables. So the charger wasn't even included. It was just the cable. And so I would take pictures of them, and they would send me more products and take pictures of them and, send them their way. So it sounded like a sweet gig, but 99% of those were free, meaning I get a product, they get a photo. That's like me building someone else's house in exchange for access to have dinner with them inside that house. It just didn't feel right. So I had to really think about that. So again, I just went back to focusing on moving forward. I kept trying to learn new things. I kept trying to meet new people. I figured that if I just kept doing that somehow opportunity might just find its way towards me. And before it all happened, the pandemic hit. All my clients went away, all of them. I once again found myself in a situation where I'm like, okay, I guess this is getting laid off as a freelancer. Just like many of you, I had to find other ways to survive. I had a family that I needed to support. I had a little bit of content that's out there through my Instagram and my very, very small YouTube channel. And so I said, no matter what, I just need to keep moving forward. One of the things that I really wanted to start it ever since was a podcast. Even though I knew nothing about it, I didn't know anything about microphones, of how to start a podcast, how to edit, anything, nothing at all. Luckily, I found someone who was willing to dive into that very, very scary hole with me. And so we did. We started our podcast in April. And through this podcast, through all the ups and downs, through all the mistakes that we've made, we've also made connections. And those connections eventually led to opportunities, which ultimately leads up to where I am today. A 39-year-old content creator who didn't really know what he was doing and what he had to offer as a skill. So if you've been following me and you look at all the things that I've done so far, you might be thinking, this guy probably knows, this guy probably knew exactly where he wanted to be, what he wanted to do, and basically just followed that roadmap. The truth is, I didn't. And if there's anything you probably didn't know about me, is that I've just been trying to figure things out as they happen. So the message that I want to share with you is that if you find yourself in a similar situation, the only thing that I could really give you as advice is to try to move forward in whatever way that you can. So, where do I see myself 5 years from now? And the answer to that is not here, but hopefully somewhere better. And that's exactly the same wish that I have for you, especially in this coming year. Keep moving forward, and I hope you have a very awesome 2021. Hello. Hi. Hello. Try not to be so stiff.